Psychology suggests that people with very few friends are often misunderstood. They're not broken, they're not antisocial, and they're definitely not failures. In many cases, they simply see the world differently. For some people, socializing feels natural and energizing. For others, it can feel exhausting, especially when the connections don't feel genuine. If you've spent long periods with only a few close friends, or none at all, there may be psychological reasons behind it. And surprisingly, some of those reasons are actually strengths. The first reason is that you have a very low tolerance for fake people. You can usually tell when someone isn't being genuine. Maybe they change their personality depending on who they're talking to. Maybe they gossip about others, manipulate situations, or pretend to be someone they're not. Whatever the case, you notice it quickly. As people become more self-aware, they often become less willing to tolerate dishonest or superficial behavior. Instead of forcing yourself to fit into groups that don't feel authentic, you'd rather keep your distance. While many people are comfortable maintaining relationships that feel shallow or one-sided, you may find that difficult. You value honesty, loyalty, and authenticity. If those qualities aren't there, the friendship simply isn't worth your time. That's why having a small circle doesn't necessarily mean you're lonely. It often means you're selective about who gets access to your energy and trust. The second reason is that you value depth over numbers. Many people think having lots of friends automatically means having a better social life. But for some individuals, one meaningful conversation is worth more than 100 casual interactions. Small talk can feel repetitive and draining. Conversations that stay on the surface rarely hold your attention for long. You're more interested in discussing ideas, personal growth, human behavior, goals, experiences, and the bigger questions about life. The challenge is that those kinds of conversations aren't easy to find. Most social interactions stay focused on everyday topics, and while there's nothing wrong with that, they may not provide the connection you're looking for. As a result, you don't chase friendships just to avoid being alone. You'd rather wait for a genuine connection than fill your life with relationships that feel empty. To others, that might look like isolation, but from your perspective, it's simply a preference for quality over quantity. And sometimes, having fewer friends isn't a sign that something is missing. It's a sign that you're unwilling to settle for connections that don't truly matter. The third reason is that your mind needs more time to recharge. Not everyone experiences social interaction the same way. Some people can spend hours around others and feel energized afterward. Others walk away feeling mentally exhausted, even if they enjoyed the experience. Psychologists sometimes refer to this as high social sensitivity. People with this trait tend to process social situations more deeply. They notice subtle changes in tone, body language, facial expressions, and emotions that many others miss. While this level of awareness can be a strength, it also requires more mental energy. Every conversation involves more processing, more observation, and more analysis happening in the background. That's why time alone isn't something you merely enjoy. It's something you need. Solitude becomes a way to reset and recover. This doesn't mean you dislike people. It simply means your brain uses more energy during social interactions, so it needs more time to recharge afterward. The fourth reason is that you're highly independent. Many people rely on friends, social groups, or constant interaction to feel secure and fulfilled. But some individuals are comfortable standing on their own. Psychologists often describe this as having a low need for external validation. In other words, your self-worth doesn't depend heavily on what other people think of you. You can enjoy your own company. You can solve problems independently, pursue your interests alone, and stay motivated without needing constant encouragement from others. Because of this, you don't feel pressured to maintain friendships that no longer add value to your life. You're not afraid of being by yourself, which gives you the freedom to be selective about who you allow into your world. To some people, this independence may look distant or reserved, but in reality, it's often a sign of confidence and self-sufficiency. The fifth reason is that your trust has been shaped by experience. Many people who keep a small circle have gone through situations that taught them to be careful about who they trust. Maybe it was betrayal. Maybe it was dishonesty. Maybe it was investing time and energy into people who didn't have good intentions. When trust is broken, the brain adapts. It becomes more cautious, more observant, and more protective. Instead of opening up immediately, you pay attention. You watch how people behave over time. You listen to what they say, but you also notice whether their actions match their words. Psychologists sometimes refer to this as having a higher trust threshold, a stronger filter for deciding who earns a place in your life. Some people see this as a weakness. In reality, it can be a form of wisdom. Experience has taught you that trust is valuable, and valuable things shouldn't be given away too easily. As a result, your circle may be smaller than most, but the people who do earn your trust tend to be the ones who genuinely deserve it. This version flows naturally from points 1 and 2 and feels like one original script rather than a combination of two sources. The sixth reason is that they don't depend on other people for a sense of belonging. For many people, fitting in feels important. They adjust their personality, opinions, or behavior just to be accepted by a group. But some individuals eventually reach a point where they no longer feel the need to do that. They know who they are, and they're comfortable with it. Instead of chasing approval, they focus on staying true to themselves. They don't pretend to like things they don't enjoy, and they don't change their values just to gain acceptance. When they spend time with someone, it's not because they're afraid of being alone. It's because they genuinely enjoy that person's company. Their relationships come from choice, not need. And because of that, they'd rather spend time by themselves than sacrifice their authenticity just to fit in with a crowd. The seventh reason is that solitude helps them think and grow. Time alone gives them space to reflect, learn, and understand themselves better. It's often during quiet moments that they come up with their best ideas, solve problems, or gain new perspectives. These are the people who enjoy long walks, reading, writing, learning new things, or simply sitting with their thoughts. They're naturally curious. They like asking questions and exploring deeper topics rather than staying on the surface. That's why endless small talk rarely excites them. They're more interested in meaningful conversations that challenge their thinking and help them grow. Their solitude isn't empty. It's productive, intentional, and often deeply fulfilling. The eighth reason is that they have strong personal boundaries. One thing many people with small social circles have in common is that they've learned when to walk away. They've experienced relationships that drained their energy, created unnecessary stress, or constantly crossed their boundaries. Over time, they realize that protecting their peace is more important than pleasing everyone around them. As a result, they're willing to disappoint others if it means staying true to themselves. They don't feel obligated to remain in friendships that are built on negativity, drama, manipulation, or constant conflict. While some people stay in unhealthy relationships just to avoid being alone, they choose something different. They choose peace. And sometimes having fewer friends isn't a loss at all. Sometimes it's the result of refusing to tolerate relationships that no longer serve you. The ninth reason is that they're highly observant of people. Some individuals naturally pick up on things that others overlook. They notice changes in behavior. They sense tension between people. They recognize when someone's words don't match their actions. Because they pay close attention, they often spot warning signs early. This doesn't mean they're suspicious of everyone. It simply means they're aware. They've learned through experience that not every smile is genuine and not every relationship is healthy. As a result, they're careful about where they invest their time, energy, and trust. Many people mistake this for being distant or unfriendly. In reality, they're simply selective. They understand that being alone is often healthier than surrounding yourself with people who bring stress, negativity, or dishonesty into your life. For them, protecting their peace isn't a weakness. It's a priority. The 10th reason is that they're constantly growing and changing. Not every friendship ends because someone did something wrong. Sometimes people simply grow in different directions. As individuals learn more about themselves, heal from past experiences, and develop new goals, their priorities begin to change. The people who once fit perfectly into their lives may no longer share the same values, mindset, or vision for the future. Growth has a way of reshaping relationships. While some people hold on to friendships out of habit, others are willing to accept that not every connection is meant to last forever. They understand that personal growth sometimes requires creating distance from environments, habits, or relationships that no longer align with who they're becoming. This doesn't mean they think they're better than anyone else. It simply means they're committed to becoming the best version of themselves, and not everyone will understand that journey. As they evolve, their standards often become higher. They become more intentional about who they spend time with, what they tolerate, and where they invest their energy. Because of this, their social circle may become smaller over time, but often stronger. So what does all of this really mean? If you have very few friends, or even no close friends at all, it doesn't automatically mean something is wrong with you. It may simply mean that you experience the world differently. You notice things that other people overlook. You value depth over appearances. You protect your energy, think carefully about who you trust, and refuse to build relationships that don't feel genuine. While many people chase acceptance, you may be more focused on authenticity. While others fear being alone, you've learned how to be comfortable in your own company. And while some people fill their lives with dozens of casual connections, you're willing to wait for the few relationships that truly matter. That doesn't make you antisocial. It doesn't make you difficult. And it certainly doesn't make you a failure. And remember, having a small circle today doesn't mean you'll be alone forever. It simply means you're being intentional about who earns a place in your life. If this video helped put words to something you've felt for a long time,